Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our full screen nav menu tutorial series into this single long video so that it's easy for you to follow. Now in this video we are basically going to create this nav menu over here. So if I click on this menu icon, we can see that we have these menu items displayed over here, and we also have these hover effects, and we also have the animation when it displays on the screen. And if I click on this close icon, it goes back with the animation. So this is what we're going to design in this video. We're going to use a library called GSAP for the animation, and in the end I'll also show you how to add this nav menu to your Blogger website, and I will also leave the link of the source code in the description. So let's get started. Alright, here I have created this folder called full screen menu, and I just opened it with VS Code. Now let's create the necessary files. So let's click on new file, and let's create an HTML file. I just name it index.html, and we also need to have a CSS file. Let's name it style.css, and we'll also create a JavaScript file. Let's name it main.js. Let's start with the index.html file. Now in VS Code you have the shortcut where you can just press exclamation and press tab, and you will have this basic HTML5 code. Alright, let's link our CSS file over here, and I'll just type style.css in the href, and here I'll just link the JavaScript file. So let's create a script tag, and in the src I'll just type main.js. Alright, now let's start with the markup of our design. Alright, the first thing we will design is this menu button right here. So let's create a division with the class of menu icon container, and in that, for the menu icon, let's create a division with the class of menu icon, and in that we will have the actual image. So for that we will use heroicons.com. So here I'm in heroicons.com, and let's search for menu, and here we have these icons. Let's choose this one right here. So let's click on copy SVG, and let's paste the icon over here. Right, now let's write the markup of the menu items. So we need to have this logo and this close icon, and then we need to have these menu items. So let's go outside this menu icon container division, and let's create a division with the class of menu container, and in that we will have this whole menu. So the first thing we need to have is a division for this logo and this close icon. So let's create a division with the class of top, and in that we will have this logo and this close icon. Now for the logo, let's create a division with the class of logo, and here I'll just type lb dot, and then for the close icon, let's create a division with the class of close icon, and in that we will have the close icon. So let's go back to heroicons.com, and let's just search for close, and here we have this icon right here. So let's copy the SVG, and let's paste it over here. Now the next thing we need to have are these menu items. So for that, let's create a division. So let's go outside the top division, and let's create a division with the class of menu items, and I'll just enclose all of this inside one more division so that we have the fixed width for these elements. So here I'll just create a division with the class of content, and I'll just add the top and the menu items division inside this content division. Right now in this menu items division we need to have these menu items. So let's create anchor tags for that, and here you can add the link of your pages. I'll just add a hash for now, and the first one is home. So let's type home, and I'll just duplicate these 3 more times, and then we have about, courses, and contact. Right, I think that's it with the HTML. So let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you have this extension installed, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on Open with Live Server. And now here we can see that our design is displayed in the browser. Right, now let's start styling this. So let's go to our style.css file, and first of all let's target the menu icon container. So here we have this division with the class of menu icon container, and in that we have this menu icon. So let's type menu icon container, and let's set the width of this menu icon container to 100%. And if I'll just add a background color, here we can see this is how it looks right now. Right now let's decrease the height of this icon. So here we can see we have this SVG inside the menu icon container. So here I'll just type menu icon container SVG, and let's set the height of the SVG to 40 pixels. And this is how it looks. We need to bring this icon to the right side. So let's target this menu icon container, and we'll set the display to flex, and we'll set the justify content to flex end. And now we can see that the icon is on the right side. And we'll also set the position to fixed so that it will always be in the top position. And we'll also set the top to 0 and the left to 0. And let's also add some padding. So let's set the padding to 30 pixels top and bottom, and 60 pixels left and right. And now we can see that the icon is not being displayed because the height and the width is also increased because of this padding. So for that you have to type box sizing and set it to border box. And now we can see that the icon is displayed over here. Let's also set the cursor to pointer. So let's type cursor pointer. And now if you hover over this, we can see that the cursor changes to pointer. Alright, now let's delete this background color. Alright, that's it with the menu icon. Now let's style the other elements. So if you go back to the index.html file, here we can see we have this division with the class of menu container. So let's style that. So here let's type menu container. And the first thing we will do is we'll set the position to fixed. And we'll set the background color to yellow. And now we need to set the left, top, bottom and right to 0 so that it covers the whole screen. So you can just type top 0, left 0, right 0 and bottom 0. And now we can see it has the full height and width, but you can also delete all of this and just type inset and set it to 0. This will also do the same thing. Alright, now let's style this logo right here. So the logo is inside a division with the class of logo. So let's type menu container logo, and let's set the font size of the logo to 30 pixels. And we will set the font weight to 900. And let's set the color of the text to D62828. Right now let's change the font. So I'll just target menu container, and here I'll just tap font family, and we'll just set it to Roboto sans serif. Right now let's target this icon. So the icon is inside this division with the class of close icon, and in that we have this SVG. So let's type menu container close icon SVG, and let's set the height of this icon to 40 pixels, and we'll also set the cursor to pointer. Right now we want to have this icon and this logo side by side. So let's target the container division. So the container division is top. So in that we have the logo and the icon. So let's type menu container top, and let's set the display to flex, and we'll also align items to the center. Right now we want to have this logo on the left and the icon on this right side. So for that you have to type justify content and set it to space between. Right now we need to add some padding. So let's go back to our HTML file, and here we can see we have this container division called content. So let's add the padding to the content. So here I'll just type menu container content, and let's set the padding to 30 pixels top and bottom and 60 pixels left and right. Right now let's style these menu items. So the menu items are inside this division with the class of menu items, and if you go back to the design, here we can see that the menu items are one next to the other, but we want all of them to be one below the other. So let's target the menu items. Here let's type menu container menu items, and let's set the display to flex and flex direction to column. And we also need to bring it to the center. So let's type align items to the center and justify content to the center. And now we can see it is centered horizontally, but we also want it to be centered vertically. So right now the height of this menu items division is not 100%. So let's type 100% height over here. And we also need to change the height of this content. So if we just add a background color, this is the height right now for the content. So let's set the height of this to 100%. And now we can see it is in the center, but it is in the center of this menu items division. So if I just add a background color over here, here we can see these menu items are in the center of this division. Now since we have a gap over here at the top, we need to add some margin top of some negative value. So let's calculate the value that we need to add. So let's right click over here and click on inspect. And here we can see for the top, we have a height of 44 pixels. So here we can see we have the height set to 44 pixels. And we also need to take into consideration the padding at the top. So if I select this content, and if I scroll down, here we can see we have a padding of 30 pixels at the top. So we need to add them. So we need to add 30 plus this top height, which is 44. So let's go back, and here for this menu items, let's add a margin top of negative 74 pixels, which is 30 plus 44. And now we can see that these menu items are exactly in the center. Right now let's remove this background color. Right now let's style these anchor tags. So the anchor tags are inside the menu items. So let's type menu container, menu items A, and let's set the font size of the menu items to 50 pixels. And let's remove the underlines. So let's type text decoration and set it to none. And let's also set the color of these anchor tags to black. And now let's add some gap between these menu items. So let's go back to the menu items, and here we have already added a display of flex. So here we can just type gap, and we can set a value over here. So let's set it to 20 pixels. And now it looks alright. So that's it with the design of our full screen nav menu. Now the first thing we will do is we will add the hover animation. So if I go back to our original design, here we can see when we hover over these menu items, we have the same text displayed in the background, and we also have a little bit of animation. So for that we will use data attributes in HTML. So let's go back to our source code, and let's go to the HTML file, and here for each of these anchor tags, let's also add data attributes. So let's type data, and here after the hyphen you can name it anything you want. So I'll just name it menu, and we will set it equal to home. So this is the first data attribute. So we need to add data attributes for all these menu items. So let's type data menu equals, and here we need to type about, and then for the third one let's type data menu equals courses, and then for the last one let's type data menu equals contact. Right now let's go to our CSS, and we need to access these data attributes in our CSS. So here we can see this is the selector for the anchor tag. Now we're going to use after selector for displaying the data attributes. So let's type menu container, menu items A : after, and using after selector you can add additional information to your content. So we need to type content, and for example if I just type 1 2 3, and if I go back to our design, here we can see after the menu items we have 1 2 3 displayed over here. Now instead of 1 2 3 we need to display the data attribute. So let's go back, and here we can add a keyword called attr for attribute, and here we can just add the name of the data attribute. So we have the name as data-menu. So let's type data-menu, and now we can see that the data attribute value is displayed over here in the after selector. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to display it behind this text, and we need to increase the font size, and we need to add some more styles. So let's go back and let's set the position to fixed, and we will set the left position to 50% and the top position to 50%. And now we can see that these data attributes start from the center. So we also need to type transform translate, and we need to type -50% for the x and y axis. And now it is exactly in the center. Right now let's set the font size to 200 pixels, and we'll set the font weight to 900, and let's set the opacity to 0.1, and we'll also set the text transform to uppercase. And now let's remove the pointer events from the data attributes. So if I hover over this, we can click on this link. So let's go back and let's set the pointer events to none. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to display these data attributes only when we hover over these menu icons. So by default we will set the opacity to 0, and we'll also set the transform translate x value to -100 pixels. So let's type calc -50% -100 pixels, and let's add a hover effect. So let's type menu container menu items a:hover : after, and let's set the opacity to 0.1, and we'll set the transform translate to the default value. So let's type -50% and -50%, and we'll also add a smooth animation. So let's type transition, and we'll set all to 500 milliseconds ease. Right now let's go back to our design, and now if you hover over this, we can see that the text is displayed at the background. So it is working all right. Right now let's add the entrance animation for all these elements. So if I click on this menu icon, we want to display all these animations. So we will use a library called GSAP for that. So let's get the CDN of GSAP. So you can just search for GSAP CDN and you'll find this website cdnjs.com. And let's copy this link of GSAP min.js. And let's go back to our HTML. And I'll just paste it over here just before the script tag. Right now the next thing we will do is we'll just set the default styles of this nav menu. So by default we don't want to display any of the elements over here. So let's go back to our CSS. Now here the first thing we will do is we will add some transform translate x for this logo and this close icon. So if I click on this menu icon, we can see that the close icon comes in from the right side and the logo comes in from the left side. So by default we need to set the transform translate x to some value. So let's target the logo, and here is the selector for the logo. So here I'll just type transform translate x, and let's set it to -30 pixels. And here's the selector for the close icon. So let's type transform translate x 30 pixels. Now for all the anchor tags we need to add a transform translate y. So if you go back to the original design, here we can see that these menu items come down from the top. So let's target the anchor tags, and here I'll just type transform translate y, and let's set it to -20 pixels. And we also need to set the opacity to 0. Right now for the menu container we need to set the height to 0. So here we can see at the beginning we have a height of 0 for the menu container. So let's go back and let's target the menu container, and here for the menu container let's set the height to 0, and we'll also set the overflow to hidden. Now for the logo and the close icon also we will add an opacity of 0. So let's add opacity of 0 over here as well. Right now let's start with the GSAP animation. So let's go to our main.js file, and first of all let's create a timeline. So let's create a timeline with the name of TL, and we need to type gsap.timeline. Now let's add the animations over here. So let's type TL.to, and here for the first argument we need to type the selector of the element. So first of all let's select the menu container. So let's type .menu container, and then we need to add an object for all the animations. So let's type height, and let's set it to 100 viewport height. Right now let's save this, and now if we refresh this page, we have this animation. Right now let's add the animation for the logo. So let's type .to, and here also we need to add the selector. So if you go back to the HTML file, here we can see for the logo, we have a division with the class of logo inside menu container. So let's type .menu container logo, and here we need to set the opacity to 1 and also the X value to 0, because here we can see we have set the transform translate X to -30 pixels. So here we are resetting it. Right now if you go back and refresh this page, here we can see that both the animations are running all right. Right now let's add the animation for the close icon. So let's type .to, and let's add the selector for the close icon. So let's type menu container close icon SVG, and here also we need to set the opacity to 1 and X to 0. Now if you go back to our design and if I refresh this page, here we can see that the animation is working, but we need to bring this close icon a little bit earlier than it is right now. So for that we need to add one more value over here. So I'll just type comma after this curly braces, and here we need to type minus equals, and we need to type a number. So I'll just type 0.5. Right now let's refresh this page, and we can see that it looks alright. You can change these values and experiment with the animation. Right now let's move on to the next one, which is the anchor tags. So let's type .to, and let's type menu container A for the anchor tags. And for the anchor tags we need to set the Y value to 0, and we also need to set the opacity to 1, and we'll set the duration to 1.2 seconds, and we'll also add an ease, and let's set the ease to power2 dot ease out, and we want to display this also a little earlier. So here I'll just type minus equals, and let's type 0.4. Let's see how it looks, and we can see that the animations are working alright, but we need to display each of these menu items separately. So here we can see if I click on this menu icon, we have each of these menu items displayed after a certain delay. So for that let's go back to our JavaScript, and here we need to add one more value, which is stagger, and we can add a value over here. So I'll just type 0.2, and now let's go back and let's refresh this page, and we can see that the animations are working alright. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to display these animations only when we click on the menu icon, and when we click on the close icon we need to reverse this animation. So let's go back, and here for the timeline we will add some options. So we'll add an option called post, and let's set it to true. So by default the animation will not run. So now if we go back to our website, here we can see that the animation is not running. Now we need to start the animation when we click on this menu icon. So let's go back to our JavaScript, and let's target the menu icon. So let's type const menu icon equals document.query selector, and let's go back to our HTML, and we have given it a class of menu icon, so it is inside menu icon container. So let's type menu icon container menu icon, and let's also reference the close icon. So let's type close icon equals document.query selector menu container close icon. Right now let's add an event listener to this menu icon. So let's type menu icon dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event, and here let's create an arrow function. Now here we need to start the animation. So let's type TL, which is the timeline dot restart, and now let's click on this menu icon, and we can see that the animation is working alright. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to reverse this animation when we click on this close icon. So let's add an event listener for that as well. So let's type close icon dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event, and let's create an arrow function, and here we need to type TL dot reverse, and now let's go back and let's click on this menu icon, and we have the animation running. And if I click on this close icon, the animation is reversed. But for the reverse animation, we need to increase the speed. So right now it is too slow. So let's go back, and here we need to type dot time scale, and we need to add a number over here. So let's type 4. So it will be scaled 4 times. And now let's go back and let's click on this menu icon. And now let's click on this close icon, and we have the fast animation for the close icon. But now the problem is that when we click on this menu icon, we have the fast animation. So for that, let's go back to our JavaScript, and here we need to reset the time scale. So let's type time scale, and let's set it to 1. And now let's go back and click on this menu icon. And now if we click on this close icon, we have the fast animation. And if I click on this menu icon once again, we have the animation running in the normal speed. So that's basically how you can create a full screen menu animation using HTML, CSS, and GSAP. Right here I'm in the dashboard of my Blogger website, and the theme that we are using is called Notable Light, which comes by default with Blogger. So here's the theme right here, and this is how our website looks right now. So here we can see this is the theme applied, and we're going to replace this menu button with this menu button right here. So we'll just remove this menu button from here, and we will add this so that when we click on this, we have this animation and all these menu items displayed over here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to locate this menu button in our theme code. So let's right click on this menu button and let's click on inspect. Now this is the menu icon, but let's go to the container division. So let's select this division right here. So this has a class of hamburger section and container. So what we need to do is we need to locate this division in our theme code. So let's copy these classes, and let's go to our Blogger dashboard, and let's go to theme, and let's click on this button and click on edit HTML. Now here we need to locate this division. So let's just search for it. I'll just press Command F and just paste the classes over here, hamburger section and container, and let's press enter. And here we can see we have the division right here. So this is the code that represents this icon right here. So we can just delete it, but I'll just comment it so that we can use it later. So let's press less than, exclamation, hyphen, hyphen, and let's close the comment over here. So here we have to type hyphen, hyphen, greater than. Right now this menu icon is commented, and if I save this, and if I go back to our website, and if I refresh this page, and now the menu icon is not visible. So let's go back to our theme code, and here let's add the menu icon. So here I'll just make some space, and let's go back to our source code, and I will leave the link of the source code in the description. Now we need to copy the HTML of the menu icon. So let's copy this division right here, and let's paste it inside here. Right now let's click on save. Right now let's go back to our website, and let's refresh this page. And now let's right click over here and click on inspect. And if we scroll down, here we can see we have this menu icon container. So let's also add the CSS of this menu icon container. So let's go back to our source code, and let's go to the style.css file. And here are the styles for the menu icon container. So let's copy these styles from here, and let's paste it inside the CSS of our theme. So let's scroll up, and this is the CSS of the theme. Let's go to the end, and let's create a comment. Let's type full screen menu, and let's paste the CSS over here. And now let's click on save. Right now let's go back to our website, and let's refresh this page. And here we can see that our menu icon is displayed over here on the top right. Now if you go back to the CSS, here we can see that we have set the position to fixed. So now we will just remove this position fixed from here, and we will add this menu icon inside the division that contains this heading and this search text. So let's right click and click on inspect, and let's take a look at the container division. So here we have this division with the class of centered top, and in that we have this division with the class of centered top first line, and in that we have this division with the class of main header elements. So in the main header elements we have these headings and also this search. So right now our menu icon container is outside this division right here. So we need to bring this menu icon container inside this division. So we need to move it just above this ending div tag. So let's go to the HTML and let's copy this menu icon container from here, and we'll just paste it inside this division. So I'll just make some space over here and I'll just paste it over here. Right now let's save it. Right now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And if I right click over here and click on inspect, let's select the division main header elements, and in that we have this menu icon container. Right now we need to remove this position fixed from here. In fact, we'll remove all these styles from here. So let's go back and let's go to the CSS, and we'll just remove all these styles from here, and let's click on save, and let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now we can see that the menu icon container is before this heading. So let's right click and let's see what's the problem. And if we take a look at the container division, here we can see that the display is set to flex. And if we take a look at the blog name, here we can see that the order is set to 1. And let's go to the next element, which is search, and for that the order is set to 3. So we need to set a higher order for this menu icon container. So if I just type order of 4, now we can see that the menu icon container is in the correct place. Now we'll just add some margin and some padding to make it look better. So let's set the padding left to 30 pixels, and we'll also add a margin top of -8 pixels, and I think that looks alright. So let's copy all these styles from here and let's go back to our code, and I'll just paste it over here inside the menu icon container. Right now let's click on save. And now if we go back to our website and if I refresh this page, we can see that everything looks alright. Now let's add the menu items, so all these elements over here. So let's go to our source code, and first of all let's copy the CSS. So let's copy everything from here till the end, and we'll just paste it over here. And now let's copy and paste the HTML. So let's go to the end of our code, and here just before the body ends, we'll just add the HTML. So let's go back to our source code and let's go to the HTML file, and let's copy the HTML of the menu container from here, and we'll also copy the script for the GSAP, and I'll just paste it over here. Right now let's copy and paste the JavaScript. So let's create a script tag over here, and in here we'll paste the JavaScript. So let's go back to our source code and let's go to the main.js file, and let's copy all this JavaScript from here and let's paste it over here. Now by the way, you can go ahead and make changes to these values to change the animation. And if you go to the HTML file, here we can see that all these links over here, you can go ahead and change these to whatever you want. You can add a new link by adding a new anchor tag, and here in the href you can just add the link of your page. Alright, let's go back to our theme code and let's click on save. And now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now if we click on this menu icon, we have our full screen menu displayed over here, and if I click on this close icon, it is hidden. So it is working alright. Now let's also check the hover effect. So if I hover over this, we can see that all the letters are one below the other. So let's see what's the problem. Let's right click over here and click on inspect, and let's scroll down and let's see whether we have any styles applied by the theme. So here we can see we have this style applied, which is word break, and it is set to break word. So we have to change this to normal, and now we can see the text looks alright. So we need to change the word break inside our menu container division. So let's go back to our code and let's go to the CSS and let's go to styles for the menu container, and here let's set the word break to normal, and let's save it. And let's refresh this page. And now we can see that the hover effect works alright. Now there are some more things we can do to improve our design. So first of all, if I click on this menu icon, the close icon is in a different place. So we have to move our cursor and click on the close icon. So what we will do is we'll bring the close icon in the same position as the menu icon. So let's right click over here and go to inspect. And let's select the container division. So I think it is this division right here, centered top. And here you can see on the right side we have the CSS. So we have a max width of 1280 pixels and we have the padding set to this value, and we also have the margin set to 0 auto. So let's copy these three styles from here and let's go back to our theme code. And if you take a look at the HTML, here we can see inside the menu container we have this division with the class of content, and in the content division we have all the content. So let's go back to our code and let's target the content division. So here I'll just paste the styles and we'll just remove this padding from here. Right, now let's click on save. And now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. Let's click on this menu icon. And now we have the close icon in the correct place. Right, now let's also take care of the other screen sizes. So let's decrease the width of the browser. And now we can see for this screen size we have a different styling. So let's right click over here and go to inspect. And let's see what is the width and the margin and the padding. So let's select the division. So here we can see the padding is set to 0 and the max width is set to 920 pixels. And it is inside this media query of max width of 1168 pixels. So let's copy this media query and let's paste it in our CSS. And we need to add the styles inside the content of the menu container. So let's type dot menu container content, and let's go back to the inspector and let's copy these styles and let's paste it over here. So right now if I don't save it and if I click on this menu icon, we have the close icon in a different place. So let's save it. And let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page and let's click on the menu icon. And now we can see that it is in the correct place. We also need to add some margin to the top. So let's go back and here let's add a margin top of, let's try 24 pixels. Let's save it and let's see how it looks. And let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page and let's click on this menu icon. And now we can see that the close icon is in the correct place. Right, now let's decrease the width of the browser even more. And now we can see we have a different layout. Now the search icon is displayed over here instead of the search text. And we also have the menu icon shifted to the bottom. Now there are different ways to fix this. But what we will do is we'll just set the position to absolute and bring it in the center. So let's go back to our CSS. Before that, let's see what is the media query. So we have this media query right here. So let's copy this and let's paste it over here. And we need to add the styles to the menu icon container. So let's type dot menu icon container and let's set the position to absolute. And let's set the top position to 24 pixels. Let's set the left position to 50%. Now it will start from the 50% mark. So we also have to type transform, translate X and set it to negative 50%. Right, now let's save it. And let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And I think we can decrease the top value a little bit. So let's right click and click on inspect. And let's select the menu icon container. And let's try different top values. And I think top value of 0 looks alright. So let's go back and let's set the top value to 0. And let's click on this menu icon. And now we can see the positioning of this logo and this close icon is not in the correct place. So let's see what is the padding of these elements. So let's right click over here and go to inspect, and let's select the container division, which is this division right here. And here we can see we have a padding of 24 pixels. So let's set a padding of 24 pixels for the menu items. So let's go back to our CSS, and let's copy this code from here, and I'll just paste it over here. And now here we'll just unset this max width, and let's set the padding to 24 pixels, and we'll just set the margin top to 0, and let's save it. And now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now let's click on this menu icon, and everything is working alright. We have the correct padding for these two elements, and everything is working alright. So that's basically how you can add a full screen nav menu to a Blogger website. Now here you can go ahead and add the links of your pages. So you can add the link of the home page, about, contact, and any page you want. So here in the HTML you have these hashes. You can just add the links of your pages over here. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. I will leave the link of the source code in the description. And if you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.